Hello and welcome to another Dawn and Julia Create. So today we are playing in our journals, so grab a cuppa and let's craft together. So this is a journal that I have had since 2018 and as of yet I've not done much art in it. Mostly I do cleaning in it. So I tend to create lots of mop-up pages. When I've got leftover paints or ink, it goes in this journal. So yeah, I have very few finished pages and I wanted to rectify that. So I set the challenge this time for Dawn and I to complete 2 mop-up pages in a journal. So I am going to attempt to do something with these 2 pages here. Now, in all honesty, at this point I had no idea what I was doing, no direction, no thought of anything at all. I just sort of started playing and decided I would see what occurred. So I start off by putting a little bit of book paper down. I do have one book that is one I have a repeat of, and I use that for my art projects. So I just get that down. And I also have this Yupo paper that I created a galaxy effect on one of my previous videos. It was quite difficult to tear. You do sort of have to nick it with your scissors first and then put it down. Now in hindsight, this is going to be a little bit of a mistake. In my head I thought it would be quite interesting because it's semi-transparent and I thought it would add a little bit of a different texture to what I'm used to using, which it certainly did, and that provided a few different challenges, but we work there and we get there eventually. Now because there are different mediums down there that are very, very different, I am just putting a layer of gesso down, clear gesso, so that I can layer up this page a bit more. What was very interesting about this is the Yupo paper actually had alcohol ink on it, and the alcohol ink moved through these stages. So as I'm putting these various colours of gesso on, the blue is moving. Now alcohol ink is normally permanent, but clearly it's not permanent on Yupo paper. So that is going to be something that will be interesting to explore for another day. But yeah, I was quite surprised to learn that. So it added a few extra challenges, but we do get there. So I am using an image here. This is the girl from the Fluffy Hugs collection, from the Alpaca collection, and I'm just popping her down in the corner. Now I want to, these are my Kuretake Dansei Tambi paints, which I am just activating, and I am wanting to use these to try and blend those sort of Yupo galaxy bits together. I've gone with these paints because they are slightly more opaque than your traditional watercolour, and so I thought it would be good for building things up. Now you can use watercolour on Yupo paper, but it wasn't seeming to react too well, and the tear of the Yupo paper had really quite harsh lines. So at this point I was just doing my best to try and blend the Yupo paper into the rest of the page so that it worked. So this ended up going quite dark. I wasn't overly sure with the direction it was going, but yeah, we got there. Just added a bit of extra colour to the page. Whilst it was drying, I did have a thought that it could be that the 2 of them were quite tired because they'd stayed up late reading, and that sort of went with the original idea of the notepaper going down. So I pulled out some elements from the Libby's library collection as well and put the 2 of those together. And once I started doing this, I felt a lot happier with it. So it was almost like there was a kind of shaft of light of these girls reading the story and the story surrounds them. That was kind of what was in my head. Because I added the moon, I wanted to add a little bit of a yellow glow. I love playing with lighting like this. I think it makes it quite atmospheric. I did use a Neil colour crayon to do this, but obviously there's a lot of blue on the page already, so I was getting a little bit of green, so I couldn't work it overly, but I was trying to go for spaces where there wasn't much colour, and I still managed to create the glow effect. Now this is the sentiment that I wanted to use. I read past my bedtime, and I'm just going to tuck this into the moon there, and I think that with the sentiment sort of now makes the page work. So I'm doing my usual, just creating a little bit of a doodly border to frame it and to draw the eye in, and that will be this page pretty much done. So as I had the Libby's library stuff out to complete the other page, I thought why not use it on the second page too. So again, I've got the book paper out, and I am just popping this on the bottom of the page, and this is basically to provide some sort of grounding for this pile of books. Now this is unusual. I don't normally colour in sepia colour tones and slightly more muted tones, but it worked with the background that was there, so I just thought, why not? It's a little bit different. So I'm getting different watercolours this time. These are some Prima ones. And again, I'm just going to create some shadowing underneath the books and underneath the gorgeous Libby, just so that they are standing on something and not floating on air. I love grounding my work. I think it makes such a difference. And then I'm just adding a very subtle yellow glow around the rest of it so that we've got that shadowing in. Now, instead of framing the whole page, I kind of went with where the mop-up was. It sort of almost created a frame within the page, which I quite liked. So I emphasised that by adding some doodles and then just adding a few final touches. So these are my pages. I cannot wait to see what the lovely Dawn has done. Please do pop across. It's quite an open prompt this time, so I have absolutely no idea what direction she will go in, but I know that it will be absolutely awesome. And I hope you'll stay tuned for next week, or we're going to get the most out of our stamps.